So go through the filter command, which is a really useful command that helps you build more robust spreadsheets. So let's illustrate this with this fairly standard set of data. So I've got some items, so I've got some pencils and some notepads, I've got some unit costs. And I'm now going to plan for September, October, and November. In September, I need 3 pencils. And so I've calculated the unit cost like this. I need 1 notepad. I've got the unit cost here. I've got the unit cost here for October. Got the cost here for October. I've got 3 units and so forth, right? So that's all good. You might note the $ here to lock that off. The $ is also not known by everybody, but it's obviously a really important way of locking off rows and columns. But anyway, so now I go, right, well, I want to know the total of this. And so naturally what I do is I create a formula like this. So how does that happen? I mean, I type equals and I go this plus, or I can use the arrow keys, plus this. So I got that wrong, plus this, right? So, I mean, that is intuitive, right? And now, sorry, total units, so I got that wrong. So I didn't want H3, I just wanted this. Okay, sorry. So now I calculate the total cost, okay? I'm going to do that again. So what's the total cost? Well, it's this plus this plus this. All right, so I've got the total cost. Once I've got that, I can just take these formula and I can drag them down. Right. So you might think, well, that's all fairly well and good. It's fairly easy to do. Now, obviously, if I had a lot of columns, and this is the scenario we're looking at in a moment, if I had to do this for a whole year, I would be spending a lot of time going, all right, I want this plus, right? So I mean, it's guessing this for me, which is helpful also, right? Now here's another way of doing it. The first bit of the spreadsheet is totally identical, right? You can see the number of units, the total cost, right? Number of units, total cost, it's all identical as above. But I've done the summaries differently. I've used the filter command, right? So in this filter command, what I'm doing is I'm filtering across the different columns. Let me illustrate that. So I've got a filter here across C6 to H6, which is here. And I'm filtering by C with a locked off 2, H locked off 2 equals C2. Right? So I'm saying filter this where this section of the row equals units. So when I put this filter in, put this filter in, it's filtering out the 3, 4, and 3. And I now can sum this filter to get that total. And that's how I've arrived at this here. Right? I can do the same thing here, where I'm now filtering across the new row, C7 to H7, again, where we have C log 2, H log 2 equals C2. Now, to get the costs, I can do that in the same way as I did above. I can actually just drag it across to do the same filter, right? Now, why is that a better way of doing it? Let me show you how I've got this set up. So I've got units and costs, and here I've got an array formula, which will just replicate that, right? That is important, because if I now change this to unit, nothing will break, right? So array formula is also helpful. But now watch, here's the real point, right? We're going to create an extra month, and I'm going to create that in the middle here so that the filter doesn't break. So now I can just take this, watch what happens. When I take these two rows, columns, and copy the columns here. See that? Let me call this January. Let's make another one. take this one. Watch what happens. Right? So this here, because it's just a filter across this section of the row, filtered against units and filtered against cost, the formula just sorts itself out. Whereas here, right, I'm now having to say, all right, well, plus this and plus this, right? So obviously it's entirely possible to do this, right, and update it like this. But sooner or later, as your spreadsheet gets more and more complex, imagine doing this over 2 years with a whole set of costs across everything. This method here gets harder and harder and harder and less clear as to what it is that you're actually doing. Whereas here, it's entirely straightforward. The formula just stays the same, right? And, you know, there might be 3 different entries here. You know, I might need units and, you know, something else, you know, units and frequency, right? So let me just do that, right? So I have one left here, right? Actually, let me do it like this. One right here, right? And I say I have the frequency with which I need this, right? So need to amend all of these, right? But you can see that here I just include another filter that goes by frequency, right? And the complexity doesn't really increase at all, right? Whereas the complexity for these formula here would increase and become less and less transparent the more of them I have. Hope that makes sense. Thanks for watching.